across the board
It
here.
is.
As it's Meiko is Verstein, right?
Yeah, she's like
sure
a
Nico.
super. She's like a proto Verstein. She's like even more Verstein than other Verstein. It's cool lore stuff. But either way, huge thing which I was gonna say, hopefully was gonna last later into draft, but it's happened early for us. Creme has had a pretty quiet series so far. He gets the Ahri. This is one of the picks that he was a huge playmaker for on OMG. Yagao will still be on an engaged threat in that Nico, and this laning matchup tends to favor the Nico a little bit earlier as well. So I don't think Yagao is unhappy with the matchup, but Creme in this series will have a really good ability to determine when he can be a playmaker, which he couldn't really before.
Crucially, Smolder's made it through the bans, and nobody's gone for that pick, prioritizing these solo lanes. That's assuming that Sheer takes this Jax. It could be a jungle answer as well, but also missing, grabbing his signature Rakan there. It's going to be the Nautilus taken off of the board to deny Meiko one of his own signature picks. And then who honestly knows what's going to happen for the rest of this one? I feel like Smolder must be banned on the side of top esports, but the Sai are actually the priority because Rule is just too damn good on the pick.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? Because I feel like these games are... Weirdly, they're not super early game, but they're not going late game enough for Smolder to instantly win you the game. So maybe you're looking for the stuff which kind of has the 2v2 pressure. That's where the Callisto and the Nautilus are banned out in the second one. Feels like as the heat is being turned up and we come down to a decider for who will be second place, really has come down to the wire. I wonder if we drop Smolder altogether and say, look, we have Nico, we have Ahri, we have Jax's and Shin's house. It's about the early game rather than waiting for the game to come into the hands of a Smolder stacking nightmare.
Smolder's through once again. Baby JDG, go for it. Right now, Team WE are sat at home watching the series, screaming, Jin Bard at the screen. Nobody's listening. It's only them playing it. But Kanavi's Lee Sin could well be yet another signature pick here. Missing and Kanavi both going with absolute comfort. And it does mean Sheer is taking the Jax top.
It does. So it means that Kanavi missing, once again pairing up on the Lee Sin and the Rakan, two of their best individual champions of all time. I believe missing is now on a 22-game win streak on the Rakan. It's massively high.
It's insane.
It is one of the highest win streaks I've ever seen on a champion in pro play. Bot lane for JackeyLove and Meiko. JackeyLove on Zeri. Is it going to be Zeri Lulu? It has been cropping up here and there. Means Meiko would be off of engaged duty, but he would be able to buff up the carries going in. Lulu Shinsao's powerful. Lulu and the Zeri's powerful on the other way. Because we've now seen the scaling option from JackeyLove and Meiko, do you have to go scaling on the other side? Ruler says yes. The mini dragon once again locked in. This time for Ruler.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it, to see
last pick Smolder in this meta.
Yeah, we're getting Smolder as the answer to Zeri instead of the other way around. But remember, Lulu versus Rakan, fantastic matchup for the Lulu. You've got the Polymorph. Zeri as well can dash away from the knockup from Rakan. So this is a very difficult lane for missing to find that impact in.
I think also, adding into this too, I think that the Zeri is stronger in early game and stronger at 2 items than the Smolder. It really comes to the 3 items and then the huge amount of stacks where the Smolder is uncontested at that point. We've seen a couple of, I think Anyone's Legend tried this a lot. Now they're a struggling team, but they do have hope. Of course, he's to play for JDG and was massive on that Zeri. He couldn't pull out wins against that champion. Playing the Zeri, it's a bit of a gamble. You need to close the game before the Smolder does what Zeri does, but just kind of better as the late game carry.
We'll see if the Zeri for JackeyLove is going to be the answer. JackeyLove's got quite a famous play on that Zeri. It's not a great one, though, I will say. Hopefully nothing like that will come out today. And to be fair, like those kind of plays, I feel like are a thing of JackeyLove's past. Dare I jinx it? He has been playing so much more respectfully these days. I'm going to stop talking. I feel like I'm really just like laying the curse on thick at this point. Sup Esports vs JDG, the new El Clasico ever since the turn of the decade. And let's see who's going to come out on top this time around in 2024 spring. Meiko Jayo at the end there. I'm guessing that's an EDG fan in the audience.
I appreciate that one, but obviously worth noting, JDG's arena very large as this match taking place in Beijing. 2,000 seats there. It's a big arena for regular seat games, but they fill it out, and that's why these crowds can very much get rowdy. And why wouldn't you when you see games like that? Though that Baron play in Game 2, that is going to be etched into my mind for a very long time. That was some true classic LPL chaos.
And I feel like that was classic top esports versus JDG as well. When you think back to the classic top esports plays, it was like JackeyLove and Knight 2v5ing at Baron. Well, this time we had, who was it, JackeyLove and 369 2v4ing at Baron? Pretty much a very similar thing. 369 was on the roster back then.
You know, we've had a lot of these players kind of cross the aisle into the different teams. 369 going there and back, and we've had Yagao been on JDG, he's been across from JDG, playing against them on BLG as well. He's now returned. Both these teams have a lot of history to them with different players. And this one, JDG, of course, coming in as 3-peat champions, top esports. Been a while since they've seen the upper echelons of the LPL. They took a year off really last year, while it felt like JDG, BLG, and then LNG as well really kind of claims those top spots from them. They would love to keep themselves in contention at the very top of the LPL.
Man, I miss Zoom in this matchup as well. Nothing against Sheer or anything like that, but Sheer doesn't have any steak and wine memes knocking about, does he? So feels like we're missing the high quality memes in this matchup right now. So I'm looking at you, community. Bring us some bangers, so that when the trash talk videos come out later in the year, we've got some. We need some good stuff. We need some good stuff.
Yeah.
Need some flavor in my life. Reset early on coming out from Kanavi here, just after 3 camps.
That's a good point, actually. And he gets himself towards the longsword, so I guess he really wants to fight. What this screams to me is early first back, fight at Scuttle, and try and make a mess of something on one side of the map. Thing is, most junglers do that for Doran's Blade, but if you're doing it after 3 camps, you're doing it for the very earliest fighting potential, because Doran's Blade is actually very good on a lot of early junglers right now, foregoing that for just the early first back of the longsword.
So the longsword gives him an advantage if Tian happens to be on that bottom side. He's not, though. Sheer moves in. Tian does get the smite down, but the counter-strike won't land, so Sheer can't keep this one going. Tian, though, can. As potentially 369 could move down, or Tian could just win the 1v1 and force Sheer away. And now a charm lands mid because Yagao is trying to move over to help his other solo laner. A little bit of a turn here for top esports.
If that counter-strike lands, maybe we'd have a bit of a different conversation, but then you have a double buff Shinsao walking at Jax without his skills available. And that doesn't go quite so well for Sheer, so he's going to get himself a teleport back to lane. Now, he had the free ability to do that because the wave was slow pushing towards him. He's not going to lose a huge amount of CS, but it's a bit of a swing and a miss from him in terms of the plays he could have made.
And I think maybe part of that is just down to like those subtle rules of League of Legends that are programmed into your brain that you don't have to think about, like solo laners generally can 1v1 junglers. But that only matters because they have so much XP.
Side.
We've got a 4-man dive though, or not really a dive because there's no way to get to the tower here for JackeyLove and Meiko. Jackie actually, I thought he was going to sacrifice himself, but he's walked over to the wall. It's Meiko that sacrificed himself here. Yagao chunked, but it won't matter. First blood taken by Kanavi.
Meiko uses the heal, doesn't end up getting himself any closer to safety, accepts his own demise. And once again, Kanavi's Lee Sin gets the first blood of the game. Game 1, JDG didn't really have any playmaking, but between Kanavi and Missing on the Lee Sin Rakan duo that they have done so much damage with across the LPL, get things rolling once again in the early game.
Great stuff from JDG, answering what could have been quite an awkward start to the game up top off the back of the trade with Sheer and Tian. But Kanavi showing that proactivity once more, and importantly, like the Smolder lane getting the advantages early is really bad news for top esports. You don't want to deal with that Smolder later on with a whole bunch of gold in his pocket as well. That said, we have seen Fed Smolders lose. Teams have been figuring out how to beat it, and it feels like top esports, they certainly feel like they've got an answer, right? Because they prioritize this area over the Smolder.
And yeah, I think that it normally has that better early game than the Smolder, and then it kind of keeps on to that just by a little bit up until Smolder really starts kicking online around the 3. You see that Kanavi just hopped over the Scuttle vision to go towards those the grubs rather, so he's going to take them away. I'd imagine they kind of know it by process elimination anyway, because he can't really be on bot side right now, and he knows not to risk that dragon itself. Sheer pushing in his way towards top side. Kanavi gets the trade of objectives. And unlike last game, won't get himself a quick follow-up kill after the first blood on top side.
Ooh, Meiko gets his reset denied, does have flash available should he need it, but Kanavi is looking to potentially dive here. World Ender already online for 369, but that's about to time out, and Sheer threatening the dive here. World Ender down, proxying the wave to get another wave on the way in the top side. Sheer goes for the counter-strike, sets up with the stun, and it's too easy for the side of JDG.
I mean, call me a liar. Kanavi does get a quick follow-up kill. Bot lane to top lane. Very similar to what happened in game number 2. 2 kills on opposite sides of the map, setting up his team for success. That puts Sheer ahead in a matchup which can go pretty poorly for the Aatrox one behind. See that Meiko did in fact have his flash blown towards the bot zone. You can see it on the summoners on the right-hand side. So good work again from Kanavi, who at points this time has been quite disconnected, but he walks into Tian now.
Gets the knock-up, waits with those autos as Yagao trying to protect his own jungler. If that W hits, this could be a dangerous story for Kanavi as Tian moves in. Knows that he has the power to fight over these chickens right now. Sheer is moving over. This could be bad news for Tian. Smite comes down, Tian gets the chicken and continues the fight at this point. Pop Blossom onto 2 as Creme was in the middle of it as well. Kanavi might go down. Creme's got to finish at least one of these kills. Does get it, gets over the wall as well, but taken down by the auto attack from Yagao. 369 to try and save the play.
The invisibility!
He's been juked though. He's gone for the wrong one. As Yagao gets out underneath the tower now. Sheer looking for a counter strike, can't follow it up, but denies the kill.
I mean, what is that, a 1 for 2 in the grand scheme of things? Kanavi goes down, but it's 2 extra going to JDG, and once again, Kanavi has been the conductor of the early game, setting the pace. It felt like Tian should have been able to win out on that trade towards the topside scuttle as Kanavi walked into it. It is going to be some gold over towards Creme, but he ends up dying, so he can't even stay to capitalize on a laning state that comes afterwards. And JDG, once again, running the early game, which we don't expect versus TES.
Oh, Sheer has gone for his all-in on the top side. World Ender procced by 369, has to respect it. And look at that HP. He's going to have to reset. Look at all of these minions he's going to miss. I think Sheer could threaten the dive if he doesn't commit to the reset entirely here, and will do so. So Sheer will find a massive CS advantage now in the top lane.
Now, the people who are really familiar with Sheer, when they were telling me about this player, were saying, look, he's really good on his select champion pool very early with his plays into the game and laning phase. You can see that Tian overstays in this moment here, but this whole play turns because Sheer goes straight towards this jungle rather than going towards top lane. Instead, it is that 3v2. Yes, Aatrox comes in to clean up a little bit beyond that. Creme can't quite escape because of the ward which is put over the wall. Powered auto attack, at least 369 manages to get into the play, but the juke, magnificent from Yagao, making sure that 369 doesn't get easy auto to finish the kill.
And kind of a fumble from 369 there, missing the sweet spot on the Q when he flashed for it. Would have just been able to have the kill before the W ever even came into play. You know, in the Chinese community, they call 369 the Dice Man. I know we spam the 3s and we spam the 9s for 369.
Oh, that's such a badass name, actually.
I love that they call him the Dice Man. It's full-on casino gameplay sometimes. This time, rolling the 3s. We'll see how that keeps going throughout the game, because Sheer, slowly but surely, I'm starting to really like this man in the matchup.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, his comfort champions, the Aatrox, the Jax, the Renekton, a lot of the kind of bruiser champions, which a lot of top laners have grown to be very comfortable on, he is so good on in the laning phase, and then getting just beyond that into some of the skirmishes. We've definitely felt, that even a couple of these games, he's in the longer plays, where you have to see what happens 2 rotations into a trade with 3 people involved instead of just the 1v1. He has misjudged some of them. It's harder to tell that against higher tier players who might just be able to eke out a bit of extra damage or juke a little bit better. Things will go your way. Sheer in the individual plays still so powerful. He's roaming down a bit late from top lane. JDG do want to contest this.
1,500 gold up right now for JDG. And Sheer potentially in a great flank position. Tian got one of the groups they really want to deny, a second one as well. Top Esports maybe overcommitted to the play. It's a double knock-up and a double Pop Blossom as well. And here comes Mum to clean up the kills. Top Esports are rooted as JDG winning the early game. But Creme isn't actually done just yet. Dives further forward, sideways on the charm, and Ruler walks away with his life. And now suddenly it's turned around. Creme doesn't get knocked up. JackeyLove slides away.
JDG, another fight back to back, and it is off the back of Missing's Rakan, the win streak king of Rakan. 22 games back to back, and he finds another clutch engage. really starting to think that he's having a revival on this champion, and despite the fact that, you know, we've had metas of the Lucian Nami and the Lulus coming back and the Renatas, whenever this Rakan has an angle in a draft, Missing finds a way to make it work. He's forced to go backwards, but as top esports go into this choke point, they are left as sitting ducks against Missing, who gets the 3-man charm after forcing out the ult after Creme all the same, and Ruler is also the first to the play. Typically, Ruler around Grubs fights, like Herald last year, he roams late to them. He typically stays bot lane, but with the Smolder, he can also pick up a kill.
And Ruler getting an early kill on the Smolder. It's fantastic news for JDG. It's a 2,000 gold lead now. It's top esports not wanting to give up just yet. They start off this Drake in the bottom side. Kanavi throws his Q in, but blocked by Tian. Now will be Drake taken by top esports. JackeyLove dashes to safety. Tian, no flash available. Crescent Guard still on cooldown, but gets out with his life. That felt a little bit tense, honestly, but top esports, 2 Drakes now.
Yeah, whenever Missing is on the screen with members in range of him, you think, yeah, he could find a way to make something happen of that. Can't imagine what it feels like to actually play against him on the riff. He finds angles, which so few players do. And I feel like Missing is one of those players where, you know, in the Golden Road squad of JDG, the almost Golden Road, it felt like Missing was one of those players who people never really gave all the credence to because of the carries of, you know, 369 and Knight and Ruler. Of course, Kanavi, one of the best junglers in the world during that time too. Missing has done an awful lot of work to be that playmaker, particularly on stuff like Morale and the Rakan. Kanavi looking towards mid lane, but it's charmed up.
Good charm. Oh, great sidestep from Creme as well, but it's not enough. The Pot Blossom after the kick. Oh, it is enough! The Spirit Rush gets Creme out. The sidesteps make all the difference.
Sidesteps like 2 or 3 skill shots sees him to safety. Ruler, once again, trading onto these dual lane members of top esports, getting himself a lot of stacks just from hitting the Zeri and the Lulu. It's quite hard to do that in the range versus range matchup, but he's got a couple of good opportunities now to start stacking up. I'd love to get a count on those at some point, so next time it's there, you're going to have to highlight it.
I will say, one of the things I noticed in that previous Dragon play as well that's worth mentioning is something you quite often talk about is how good LPL teams are at punishing a lack of summoner spells and a lack of ultimates. Missing didn't have his quickness, Ruler didn't have his ultimate available, I believe. Missing's flash was on cooldown as well. Top esports, while it was a really close run thing to JDG actually contesting and trying to take the Dragon themselves, top esports see that window and manage to pull an objective out of it. And I think that is a skill that's really underrated in League of Legends.
Oh yeah, and I think particularly the LPL is a specialty of it. Now 369, he has his flash and he has his ultimate. JDG will need to think twice about this dive as Sheer gets himself a plate all the same. 5 grubs for JDG means that Sheer is going to be very powerful in a side lane. Heck, even Nico very good as a side lane champion because of the W passive, getting some extra damage on towers as well. Good wave clear alongside that. But as it stands, 369 getting some good healing out. Trade backs though.
That's World Ender popped out of him. It's Sheer trying to bait him in. Oh, the Q goes wide from Kanavi. It's going to force the flash. The minions are solo. I don't think this is a diveable angle. Yagao has moved up as well, pretending to be Missing for the time being, as the real Missing moves up as well. 369, he's realized he's got to get out of there.
And because of the topside movements from JDG, there's going to be a Herald started. Herald might even open up an angle towards mid lane at some point too to break open that tower. It feels like one of the things which the LPL has struggled most in with 2024 is you don't have 2 Heralds to take early game to slam them both into mid turret to break it open for free. You have 1 Herald, which can sometimes be a bit inconsistent about how you actually end up breaking open those towers because it's not the double charge to instantly kill that. The grubs give you slower value over time. It means that unlocking mid-turret against stalling AD carries, which can wave clear with Shiv and stuff like that, can be quite difficult. If you're getting that Herald now, see how much of a power play they can get to stop top esports from holding that tower up.
See if they can withstand the pressure on those towers. It's a 3,000 gold lead for JDG at this point. And once again, just want to remind everyone of that statistic I brought up in the previous game. Top esports, 0% win rate when they're behind at 15 minutes. We've just hit 15 minutes and they're 3,000 gold down. This is going to be a tier 1 taker for top esports. Want to make something happen elsewhere on the map. Sheer, the target, and Creme grabs himself the kill. Meantime, JDG might be able to just go for a twofer in the mid lane. JackeyLove trying to clear this one away. The laser will do a bit of work, but the grubs buy space for JDG to get 2 towers in the mid lane.
All right, so we asked, okay, how much can JDG get out of that Herald, particularly in the mid lane, so you stop that Shiv just stalling for forever around that mid tower. They get 2 turrets, not even just the 1, but On the other side, Top Esports, they get an important kill onto Sheer and they open up that. Creme gonna blow that teleport. He's gonna get out safely, but the fact that he's forced to blow that, a little bit awkward for him. Got himself 2 Dark Seal stacks off of that bot side plate. But the thing is, with so many of these plays being back and forth and very, very close, and the fight's not happening all too often, the snowballing potential of an item like that Dark Seal, maybe less than other series that we're seeing. It feels like Top Esports and JDG, when they are fighting to absolutely kill. There are no half measures in this series so far.
There certainly aren't. This is going to take everything from either team to finish this series out. Ruler stacking away, by the way, who I'd say on average at this point are high-level Smolders, getting about 11 stacks a minute. So you can expect the passive to come online sort of 20 to 22 minutes. That seems to be where Ruler's at right now. As Top Esports grouped up for the Drake spawn, and they just get this one straight on spawn. Maybe JDG can force a fight off the back of it, but this should just be the Drake taken. They're doing it quite slow though. Kanavi gets the kill.
Oh, he steals it!
Oh, it's a nightmare for Top Esports, and JDG run them down. Top Esports are denied everything, and Kanavi owns this matchup. He takes the Drake, he takes 2 kills, and he might as well just take the series.
And I think JDG might just take their name too, because they are on top. The battle for second place is now being dominantly won by JD Gaming, and Kanavi on his Lee Sin has another highlight moment to add to the reel. It's a steal, it's a clutch fight from him. They arrive late to the Dragon. This should have just been gone, but he threads the needle on the Q, gets the steal. Yagao comes in to dive into Hell's Mouth with him, alongside Missing and Ruler. That is a picture-perfect wombo combo. And it doesn't even stop there. Kanavi disengages beyond that point, hops over the wall, lands the Q onto Creme. This is classic Kanavi.
Honestly, that's one of the best professional Lee Sin plays I've seen in a long while. That was magnificently played from Kanavi. And it's great to see a sick Lee Sin play that's not even really about his kick, you know? So often the Lee Sin plays all revolve around the kick. That's just great mechanics, just great use of his cooldowns, great dipping in and out of the fight, playing like an assassin.
It's just all about that mobility, you know? Other champions like this Xin Zhao, he has one ability to go in. The Lee Sin buys space for him, goes back in, and Kanavi and Missing, this Lee Sin and Rakan for both of them, we have seen just how valuable it is for them to be on these comfort, successful picks. Sheer as well on the Jacks, you know, he's had some good value with it. He's in the side lane now, the 5 grubs, and a huge amount of gold now in JDG's pocket. It'll be very, very important for them. Top Esports, what are you going to do now? That was such a big moment for them to potentially get to Soul Point, potentially disengage from that too before the Baron is even spawned. It would have given them such a macro advantage later into the game, as JDG would not want to give over a soul for free.
And I don't think we've really said it out loud yet this series, but what a performance from JDG in a series that, I'm going to be honest, I was kind of leaning towards Top Esports 2-0 before the series began. When you look at JDG's recent performance versus Top Esports' recent performance, it felt like Top were a heavy favorite coming into this one. They sub out Flandre, which a lot of people were scratching their heads over. It looks fantastic. Shears looked brilliant today. JDG have looked brilliant today. This feels like a huge turning point and right in time for playoffs. If you're a JDG fan at home, you better be rejoicing off the back of this series.
And as the Top fans, you've got to be scratching your head and wondering, okay, this is a bit of a wake-up call. They are not necessarily cleanly second place. They lost to FPX. If they lose to JDG as well, it would be a moment for them to, of course, figure out what's happening with particularly these early games in Game 2 and 3. It feels like they let JDG get onto the board a lot, and also what happens when you're behind in a game. This is a statistic which has got a lot of games behind it in terms of them losing a lot when they're behind.
Yeah.
What are they going to do to overcome that? Feels like JDG have had their number after that Game 1.
The one thing I will say for Top Esports fans is they'll probably look at this game and say, yeah, we've seen worse. They can come back from this. We've seen the mojo happen before, and we'll see it again. Whether or not that can happen today is a different question, because JDG, not a team that lose often when they get ahead. Creme managing to escape, kicked under the tower. Kanavi can't quite finish the kill. This time Meiko trying to answer the slow onto Kanavi, but Creme's so low they cannot defend the tier 2.
Missing, very nearly winning the mind game, and using the W behind Creme to see if he'd flash or ult into it. Creme once again been quite slippery to get a hold of on this Ahri. He's not really been able to go aggressive though. We've talked about how in the LPL we punish summoners and ultimates and cooldowns being down. Also pretty good at getting them for free when they're available too. Creme without that flash and without ultimate can't really be the comeback mechanic that top esports wants. Yes, it is at the cost of 2 ultimates from Kanavi and missing, but the next time they come up, they'll have flashes and Creme won't. So, next Dragon coming up in 40 seconds. I think top esports, you probably do see themselves a route through here and saying, well, we've got to try and fight around these objectives, get ourselves to Soul Point. It's a lot harder now, though, because it has delayed a potential Soul Point, even if they were to get 2 Dragons in a row, and by delaying that, you are allowing the Smolder to stack. Now, that will mean that, maybe not at this Dragon, but maybe the next one, going to have the 2-2-5 stacks from Ruler himself. And it feels like the rest of the team vying for that opportunity to get that first engage. JDG have really been timing their engages so well around these objectives. If one person jumps into hell, the rest of the team are right there behind them.
And it does feel, in these team fights, like they really are hell diving, you know? Hey, first of all, there's like dragons and stuff involved in there's a literal demon for 369. But second of all, like the way that you're seeing Missing and Kanavi and Yagao playing these fights, Sheer just forces a flash out from 369. 369 now trying to turn this one around. Counter-Strike comes on out, but he's just gonna die. Sheer literally just 2v1s them, and now the TP comes in from Yagao to make sure Creme cannot answer. In the meantime, Tian threatening onto Ruler. JackeyLove is here too, but can they actually find the opportunity? Missing dashes away, and while all this is going on, Kanavi's taking Drake.
So top esports, they go for another option rather than fighting for the Dragon. They try and shut down the side lane with Creme just having his ultimate back up, but Sheer or the Jack stands and delivers, and that means JDG, they get themselves another kill, they get themselves continued presence in top lane, because Sheer was just pushing that in, they get themselves the Dragon, and they get themselves a denial of top esports from really using that next round of ultimates to a good degree. JDG, it is going from good to better for them, and while all this is happening, the reminder is there, they outscale. Top esports, they'll have some pick opportunities, but it's not easy. And
Creme, he didn't count the minions! And there we go, another for Ruler. It's a disaster for top esports, and it might just be the game-breaking play. Tian trying to survive, trying to peel for JackeyLove, but even with stacks, JackeyLove can't take down 4 people. Dashes over the wall, but Sheer closes the gap. What a performance from the substitute top laner for JDG. He comes in and he dominates.
it's a one-hit KO. Sheer cold in the top lane. Made of Ice stands and delivers in the 1v2. Stands and delivers in the team fight after. And JDG, I think a lot of people had some doubts about this move. I think they had some doubts about this matchup. I don't think they're anywhere to be seen now. Top esports, they have been blown away in game 2 and 3. They've barely had a look in. As we go towards this, I mean, 369 stopping it back, but Sheer knows his strength. He has the late game matchup. He has a level lead on 369, who is trying to buy some time for Creme to come into the matchup, but Sheer has way too much HP. Has a red buff too as well. Remember, late game, global buffs are a thing. Massively outplays, and then Creme, in the same spot where his top laner fell, he falls just as quickly to Yagao.
Absolutely insane stuff coming out from Sheer. And what a series to do it in. What a series to come into the LPL. I know he's played, it's not his first series, but replacing Flandre, so many questions around him, and such a performance. And you know, this guy's got a bit of competitive experience. He came second in Demacia Cup, so that's cool. But aside from that, he's pretty much an unknown factor, and now JDG bring him in, and he takes down 369.
There are a couple of really historic matchups in League of Legends where players want to leave their mark. You think about, you know, the Fnatic G2s, the T1 KT, stuff like that. In this region, the last few years, top esports JDG has been that matchup, and Sheer has very much left his mark on it, just as Ruler leaves a mark on Creme's backside with that ultimate.
Honestly, 369 has been considered the best top laner in the LPL this year. And you know what this is reminiscent of to me? Faker coming in and destroying Ambition in the mid lane. Let's see what, I mean, maybe I'm getting a bit ahead of myself there, but let's see what Sheer's career has ahead of him. I'm excited to watch it, that's for sure. We've got some incredible rookies this year in the LPL alongside Milky Way. Sheer now wants to make his own mark as he takes down 369. JDG with the Baron. They break open mid lane and move up towards the top side as well. Top esports, this is your last chance to defend, and perhaps a pick onto Missing. He dashes out to safety.
The extra gold in inventory is making it really hard to cut through extra bits of stats. There's a flank TP, the last hurrah
369, the dice man in the top side, but Yagao already took one down. 369 trying to make it happen as the rest of the team moves on forward. JackeyLove is stacked in the fight, and the lightning chaining across the team. Top Esports never say die, but Sheer trying to win the game in the meantime. The reset coming on through from Meiko, but Meiko's not going to be enough. Tian making a beeline, but Sheer is making short work of these turrets. Moves down to the bottom side now as well. Might even be able to finish an inhib. The pressure is unsurmountable.
It's a Pyrrhic victory because you lose an inhib and a tower. You get a couple of really good shutdowns, 3 on the bot side of the map. That's great gold in hand. You're still very far behind though. And with the Nexus Bear, 2 inhibs down as well. JDG, they have themselves another win condition available. Creme goes forward. Struggles to get the full kill, but he at least locks the team into the fight, forces the turn. They can't go towards 369, and that buys space for JackeyLove to finally start doing Zeri things. It has been a Smolder-dominated year of AD carry, but a quick reminder of what this champion can do as well.
The Dice Man in 369 reminding everyone that the house always wins. He may have had a terrible game, but TP's behind and sets up the flank play that gives Top Esports a window. They are still 11,000 gold down, and that's against the Smolder no less.
The Smolder has 310 stacks at 27 minutes. That is a hell of a stacking rate, actually. You know, we expect 225, I don't know, 22, 23 minutes sometimes. Depends how much they've been bullied in lane. Wasn't really the case this time. Ruler has really just taken off. In that game, you have to deal with a flank. Ruler, well, stuff like this, Smolder don't really like being flanked. They want to deal with everyone in a straight line so that ult and everything else can do max damage. Top Esports will have to try and capture that lightning in a bottle again and make sure that Ruler cannot get good damage.
No TP behind enemy lines this time around for Top Esports. Looking for the front line. Kanavi forced to flash. Ward hops out to safety, but the wave is cleared in the mid lane. Oh no, it's not. The cannon survives. And that means that the top lane tower goes down. That's all 3 inhibs now, and a huge chunk onto Tian as well. He's going to have to try and get back to his fountain at this point. Waves pushed in all directions as Creme gets big damage onto Yagao, looking for a little bit more in the 1v1 on the top side. She goes underneath the Nexus turrets. JackeyLove pops the ult. Last chance for Top Esports, and JackeyLove dives into the enemy lines. Maybe he's not matured after all, but JDG sure have. They come in with a new top laner, and they demolish Top Esports.
JDG claim sole possession of 2nd place in the LPL Spring 2024. After Game 1, there were some head-scratching moments, thinking this team has just waited to bleed out. Game 2 and 3, they took the game in their own hands and showed exactly why we know that they are a top 2 prospect. The 3-peat champions of the LPL with a 3-peat LCK coach behind them in Marfa have come to play. And they're leaving some questions open now about what Top Esports will do at the top of the table.
Good to see the JDG players hugging with 369 as well after this series. You know, old teammates still